What's up, guys? We are back. The Duelist 101 podcast. How are you doing,
took
Zach?
us long enough. I'm doing pretty good, man. School's out. It's I'm teaching summer school now, which means I only teach realistically 2 days out of the week. Fantastic time. No, life's pretty good, man. Enjoying it. So we gotta tell you guys about something real quick that we haven't done in the past that we have both started to do a little bit, and that is Twitch streaming. Mason, we have started getting just a little interested in that. Mason, could you tell us a little bit about that? I guess I don't know. Twitch streaming is pretty self-explanatory. I guess we're starting to do that.
We are. It's I mean, you get to watch us make fools of ourselves in real time, and it's
you guys get to see how bad at Yu-Gi-Oh we really are.
Oh yeah. We talk about it, but you have no idea. Not until you see us actually in the middle of testing and stuff. Because here's the thing, right? Some people have been playing this game long enough, right? What comes to mind is people who've just been around the game, right? If I were to talk to like Simo, right?
Right. He's been playing the game forever.
He's been playing for a long time. He would just know more than I would, right? All the good tech choices with the specific deck and all that kind of stuff. Instead, you get to watch us go to the Edo Pro search bar and put I want a level 4
dragons.
And so that's how we stream. That's right. Oh no, just the effect monsters.
As an example, last night I got to stream for a little bit, and I got to play this wonderful person that helped me out by playing a Dino deck whose goal was to end on Winged Dragon of Ra. And it was the funniest deck I have ever seen in my life. Yeah. It made me laugh so much.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome watching that too. But yeah, so Zach and I are both streaming at different times. We're trying to figure out a consistent schedule for that. But like Zach pointed out, school's out now, and we got a little more time on our hands to be doing some of this stupid stuff. So we're both pretty excited for that. Links to both of those channels will be in the description below.
Yeah, they will.
And yeah, it's going to be a little different than, well, I don't guess we ever post our usernames for anything for personal stuff.
We don't.
Never mind.
We're gonna get our stuff hooked up, ready to go, just so we can actually be on top of things. And we are going to be using Twitch in addition for the current series we're in, since we finally get to be back in, and that is Forged. Mason, tell us what we're doing.
And the slowest progression series of all time. I don't know if progression series would be the most accurate thing, but it is a deck building series, right? One of the biggest things that we really enjoy is the process of building a deck to accomplish some kind of goal, right? And it's not always that we're finding the combos that do the really stupid things necessarily, but I mean, what's the process for actually looking at a deck, trying to make it mildly viable? It's a lot of fun. We really enjoy it. So we will be doing that live on twitch.tv/ you can find me, Mason, at I think it's MACETH. I think it's an A, so it's Mace the Face. And then you can find Zach at is it just Cap Cubic or Captain?
Yeah, it's Cap Cubic YGO.
Cap Cubic YGO.
Because I love cubics way too much for it to be healthy.
Absolutely. So check us both out on that, and we would love to kind of field what you all have to say about the deck building process. But that is just a small thing. That's not what we're here for today. We're in week 3 of our Forged series. Zach, quick review. You're building Earth Machine. I am building S-Force. This is very much not in paper. That would require money. And
we don't have that.
We don't have that. And but the goal is to point out some of the different deck building choices that we make along the ways that try to capitalize on the combos that people work on, and just how people play the decks. So it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a good time. We're enjoying ourselves so far. So far, we have talked about a couple things. If you need to, you definitely go and check out our other episodes. Week 1, we talked about finding the strategy of the deck. What is the goal of the deck, right? And we found out, for example, mine's Earth Machine, it's actually a control strategy, because Train Go Vroom is not what we're shooting for there.
It's and most of it.
It's a lot, but it's but then, for example, Mason Mason's deck, S4's had a different strategy. And so anyway, go check that out.
I don't think I can explain it. To this day, I have no idea.
Go back to that episode. Go listen to it. We talk about what our goals seem to be, for lack of a better term. And then week 2, Mason, we talked about what?
Week 2, we talked a little bit about going first or going second. And yes, that kind of falls into the same sort of category as week 1, but a lot of times you spend a lot of time figuring out, okay, what's the strategy? And so your natural next step is like, okay, this seems to work best going second, so let's build it that way. That's how I like to think of it. There are a lot of deck builders that focus more on, okay, I want to go first with this deck, I'm going to build it that way. And so it might be a lot less floodgatey as far as spells that maybe can't be responded to, and that kind of thing. So I mean, there's a lot going on that front. So this week, though, we are taking the next step in our deck building challenge, and that is the side deck.
All right. We'll see you guys in a minute.
Please make sure to follow us on Twitter at Duelist101pod and Instagram at Duelist101podcast. And finally, make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. We are back here on the Duelist 101 podcast. I hope you guys have made sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, all that fun stuff. Not because we're actually interesting, but every so often we post interesting things.
It's true.
But not like bad interesting, like mildly interesting.
Never.
Like as much, like Mason, give me a medium food item.
Medium?
Yeah, like not one that like blows your socks off when you eat it, and not one that like disgusts you. It's like something like, actually, you know what?
Biscuits and gravy. Without the sausage.
Okay, fine. I can roll with that. Hotel biscuits and gravy.
Listen,
it's
all I
more than
want,
what you-
all I want is the machine that dispenses the waffle mix. I want to pour it onto the skillet, put too much on it because I'm 2, and then have it spill over. That's what I want.
And that is how the Lord blesses the story.
Let me tell you something.
Oh my gosh. So, all right, this week, guys, we are talking about the side deck. So the side deck is an incredibly important part because 2/3 of the games you ever play are played in the side deck. We have had a small episode talking about that in general,
Link
but
in the
not
description.
within context. Link in the description on that, or just kind of scroll backwards on any podcast software. It's easy to do that too.
It's true.
Anyway, point being, we are going to talk about a lot of stuff, and we are going to try to take it as slow, step by step, and then we're going to tell you guys what we are trying to put in our personal side decks within the Forged series. So, Mason, could you go and explain, like, let's say big steps, and then we'll go into step 1. What are you trying to do with the side deck?
Adjust. Right. Consider your side deck your halftime game plan, right? And if you are a sports ball person, you're probably familiar with the fact that the teams take breaks, right? It's not just because they're tired. It's because the coaches decide, man, we are struggling. Let's fix something.
Because advertisements are a thing.
That's right. That's right. So during those advertisements, though, especially like, let's use the grand old National Football League as an example. You come back and the team is huddled up around a coach who's just waving around a whiteboard and trying to tell his guys what to do or whatever, and
periodically whacking the weakest member of the circle.
That's right, making a point by stepping on every single one of their feet
every time. Anyway,
and so in all of that, what the coach is trying to do is adjust for what the other team is doing, adjusting for what the opponent is doing. That's exactly what a side deck does. Now, not only that, your side deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Especially is going to focus on, man, okay, my initial game plan, right? Game 1 is a lot more of a feeler match, right? You want to understand, what is my opponent up to? So once you can figure that out, and if you can really pay attention to, like, okay, here's the choke points of what they're trying to do. Say it's a combo deck, right? one that I've been playing a lot. I know it's not the most meta relevant, but it's Abyss Actors, right? If you ash the Link monster, it's over for Abyss Actors, right? I almost 100% guarantee they have zero follow-up at all. So that's the kind of thing you do, right? Phantom Knights, it's if you Infip Cherub or if you Ash Rusty Bard, both are not good for the deck.
Definitely.
And so in both of these scenarios, we see that game one is studying the moves that your opponent is making. Your side deck is made to adjust for those. Zach, give us some examples here. Like, I don't know, I'm a Dino player. What are you throwing back?
Oh, Lancia all day, every day, guys.
Unless you're Giant Skyhawk, all the respect in the world.
All respect, love.
Word
So, now there's some decks like Dinos specifically, for example. You can go and there are specific cards that very obviously work for you against those decks. So you could think of cards like Lancia against Dinos. Mason, what's a good hand trap against PK?
PK.
Like Ash is good against everything.
Ash always, Ghost Bell, Skullmeister, anything that interacts with the graveyard is real troublesome, right? If you flipped a Macrocosmos or slap down a Dimensional Fissure during your turn, I'm just probably gonna go ahead and call it quits on that. It's so hard to play through, and it's just absolutely obnoxious. So
the heart of the cards guides you to Cosmic Cyclone.
that's right. With the spirit of Yugimoto, the ghost,
Yugi, come on, no.
the winged spirit of Ra over this Dino deck. Please lead me to Cosmic.
This is my favorite. Anyway, there's other cards like Anti-Spell Fragrance for those of you that have played for just a couple years since Striker came out.
Yeah, you play against Pendulum decks, man.
Yep, Anti-Spell Fragrance does it there too. So, all that to say, guys, when you are trying to figure out what to side deck, like if we can put it in clear steps, step one, find out what your opponent's playing. Right?
Yeah.
Jason, elaborate there.
So, the best thing you can do for picking your side deck cards, I think, is paying attention to what mechanic your opponent is using the most, right? There's lots of mechanics, and that's putting it lightly in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! So, are they banishing a lot? Are they using primarily link monsters, right? If you throw down a no material for a deck that wants to spam, it might be game over at that point. And so it really just depends. Find out, okay, are you summoning link monsters a lot? Are you banishing from the graveyard? Are you discarding a lot? Is your archetype mostly focused on spells and traps? That is plenty much as important. Just in understanding, there's specific things you can look for. My question is, what mechanic is your opponent using the most?
Definitely. And Mason, if I may extend just a little bit on that,
Yeah, please.
When you are thinking about this, you're thinking about what mechanics do your opponents, not singular opponent that likes to play Black Wings that for some reason is just stuck on the deck because Konami loves that deck or something like that. But like in general, what are you playing against? What are you seeing the most, like Mason's saying? And so all that to say, if you're playing a bunch of control style decks, you might want to side in Twin Twister or Cosmic Cyclone or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Zach, you bring up a really good point with the fact that whenever you're building a side deck, it's not something that you do with a one-on-one matchup in mind, right? It's something, if you're expecting to play 5, 6, 10 people anywhere in that range, then a side deck is valuable. It's really important to know that, okay, realistically, what am I expecting people to bring to this event, game, whatever, right? If you're just hanging out with a bunch of friends, a side deck seems a little unnecessary. But if, say you guys all put $20 in or $10 in and the winner gets a box, you better know people are bringing heat, right? So you say, okay, one of my friends likes Black Wings, one of my friends likes Abyss Actors, one of my friends likes I don't know, Time Lords. And and so those are their best decks, and I'm prepping for it.
Yeah, and a lot of those decks, like even Time Lord included and everything like that, all of them are not actually terribly heavy with their monsters, right? The biggest thing that they are is usually back row, right? Like Blackwing has Black Whirlwind, which allows them to add Black Wings over and over and over again, which is, thanks to Duel Links, one of my least favorite cards to see ever.
Fair.
But like Time Lord just is bad, so they're gonna play back row to help.
Yep.
And Abyss Actor, Pendulum, which means you can pop it with Twin Twister.
Yep.
So all these decks, you're thinking about the grand scheme. So if you're playing all that plus Dragon Link, as much as you have to prepare for Dragon Link, you probably don't care so much about it as you do all the other decks, because the majority of what you're playing against is the other deck. You're not playing this monster heavy Dragon Link or Prank Kids or whatever. Right? So it's important to think. So our step one, consider who you're playing. Right. Another question that you can think about is the deck good at extending? Can it beat Ash one time?
Yeah.
And if it can, then you probably need to go a little heavier on hand traps or things like that. Or if it's a very good just extending deck, Nibiru's probably the play.
Right.
Right. Just making sure that you can stop it whenever your opponent is almost out of cards in hand. So go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, the only thing I would add is that developing and crafting a good side deck also means gaining a better understanding of when to use your hand traps and or your tech cards, if you will. These different cards that are very intentionally disrupting your opponent's play in some way, it better advance the game state, right? In some way, whether that is putting you more in control of the board or enhancing your game plan, right? If say it's TG, right? And you are advancing the game state by synchroing on your opponent's turn or Unchained, right? You're link summoning with your opponent's monsters, all that stuff, all just to advance the game state.
100%. Now, there's some more steps that we need to get into. So our first step, like we said, what are your opponents playing? Right? If I go to a remote duel extravaganza, there's probably a lot of Dragon Link and Zoo Lich players, right? Yep. That's probably what I'm playing. So I'm definitely packing Lancia and I'm packing Nibiru and stuff like that that can deal with a lot of summons, right? But let's keep going. So step one, what are your opponents playing more than likely? And step two, remember that you need whatever cards you're trying to take advantage of, and what we mean by that, right? Remember that you need whatever cards you're trying to take advantage of. You need to use the ones that work, right? Some people play a side deck and they don't plan, they just kind of throw a side deck together, and it doesn't work, right? And so that being the case, there's usually budget-friendly options to go and help with that, right? And trust me, we understand. Step two very much goes into what step one in essence is. It's just probably a little bit more specific.
Yeah, I agree. It's all about preparation. That, like, your side deck shows how much you prepared, to be honest, how much you actually thought about what you were going to be playing. Again, this series is designed with the competitive mindset in mind. So let's say you just want to play casually, which is great, totally valid and wonderful.
100%.
Bring the trash. All right, that's what we want out of life.
Go.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, man, Super Quant showed the freak out during MBT's tournament the other day.
Dude, I didn't even look at it. I'll go check it out.
It's fantastic. Anyway, it's the point is that we want to even if you're playing casually, it is important that you plan a little bit, right? I'm not asking you to stay up all night. I think that's a bad decision anyway. But staying up the night before, exactly, staying up the night before an event happens is and like perfectly crafting every tech choice you're going to make, making sure you have 3 copies of everything. Stop. All right. What you have to think of is like, okay, realistically, what am I going to be playing? Is there going to be a try hard that I need to prep for? Is there going to be somebody that is just really looking to hang out and have a good time? Like, and how much of the engine am I going to need to move, you know? Which we'll come back to that here in a minute. But yeah, it's all preparation. That is the side deck. So
yep. So let's go into step 3 just a little bit, and it reads like this for us. Make sure you're not trying to side in your whole side deck every game. Like, that seems like a very obvious thing. Like, well, yeah, why would I do that? So you only want to use the highly effective cards. If I'm playing Prank Kids as an example, right, I'm
playing
definitely
against it, you mean?
Mm-hmm. Then the cards that I really like for it are things like Nibiru and Dimensional Barrier. Okay, because then I can go stop them in their tracks. In addition to that, I can call fusion with Dimensional Barrier, right? So I have 2 ways to just stop their play entirely, or at least a predominant amount, I'll say. So make sure you're only using the highly effective cards, whatever they may be.
Yeah.
Okay. And Mason, anything on that?
No, I think you said it great. Yeah.
Well, let's
Pick for your matchup. So, yeah, and understanding the last step is understanding what flexible cards you have, right? Phantom Knights, there are a lot of different breeds of the deck, but one of them is level 3 extenders, right? They use Psychic Tracker and all these different things. To me, those level 3 extenders most of the time are movable if I am shoring up a weakness of the deck, right? If I'm playing something more control heavy, maybe I'd sub out my Psychic stuff for Dark Ruin No Mores or something like that.
Yeah. So on that notion, understand what cards are designed to be able to come out of your deck, right? The non-engine pieces, like Mason's talking about, they need to be able to come out if you are prepared and know ahead of the time, know which cards that you're willing to take out. Okay, because if you're trying to do that mid-game, you're going to end up so stressed that you're going to play a terrible game too, and you'll probably end up taking an L there. So
yeah,
that to say, that takes us right into part 2 of our little side deck thing. Mason, could you explain and give an example on what you think with like engine pieces and things like that?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of a good example here. Sorry, give me a second.
No, you good. But just so you get like we're saying, like, watch the engine pieces, and sometimes you might have like extenders, like Mason was talking about the psychic stuff. Sometimes those extenders don't really need to be in the deck.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can get away with that.
Yeah. I think with I actually used there's 2 sides of it, right? If you play lots of extenders that maybe you don't have to have, or maybe you just have the wrong hand traps in your main, right? Say you bring in Ghost Bell and you are playing some deck that, like, I don't know, Metaphys or something, right? They don't even use the graveyard. They skip right to the banished zone. You know what I'm saying? And you're playing this deck and you realize that, but you're maining Ghost Bell. But what you do have is Ash, right? Or you have, whatever hand trap deals with that, right? A no material or something. I don't know. The point is, maybe you've got some of these other hand traps that are better suited for the situation, right? Again, know your matchup. That's what it comes down to. Know your matchup. So understand that there's that side of it, right? Understanding what your hand traps are there for. And then sometimes your hand traps or tech cards are the extenders, right? I used this example in Duel Links, right? It's a much simpler kind of format in as much as, you're not seeing Dragon Link all the time. You see Blue Eyes.
Every single ranked duel is Blue Eyes. Side thing, if you're playing Duel Links, just side for Blue Eyes. Like, just get ready, like, all the different things that you have in your deck. See if you get advantage off a discard, because all the powerful trap cards require it. And then make sure it's set up to play Blue Eyes, because everything else that beats Blue Eyes 100% beats the rest.
That is true. That is true. And one of these examples that does is Karma Cut. Karma Cut is a fantastic trap card. You discard a card and you banish that card.
Yeah, you banish the card, and I believe it might even just be for monsters. I'm not 100% sure.
It is. Face-up monster. You discard the card, banish a face-up monster your opponent controls, and all copies of it that are in the graveyard.
Nasty.
Yeah.
Effect.
Yeah.
Nasty effect.
And so let's say you have a deck that really wants things in the graveyard, right? Then it makes total sense to put Karma Cut in your deck, right? You want things in the graveyard, right? One of the decks I've been playing is Heraldic Beasts. It ain't good, but it's fun. And the monsters don't mind being in the graveyard most of the time, right? You've got 3 copies of Monster Reborn, basically, through one of the Archetype spells. And so it's not that big of a deal to bring them back. So if I want to play Karma Cut and I know that I'm not getting it this turn, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to activate Karma Cut, discard one of my monsters, because I know, like, Heraldry Reborn's probably coming, right? So in that case, you see, like, you see how these cards actually further the advantage you have. Some decks need your card advantage, right? You need more cards in hand, so you play cards that don't have cost, right? Floodgate, Trap Hole, or all these different ones that are just better.
Yeah. So yeah, like you're saying, dude, like if you can find side deck cards that further your advantage as well, that's a win. That's a good thing.
That's a win.
So all that to say, guys, we have really enjoyed talking a bit about this. Mason, do you have anything else you want to share, like about the side deck, what you're learning about it, how it affects your deck, anything like that?
I mean, so what I've learned with S-Force specifically, there's a few things that are really important. Called By would not be the worst choice to have in it as far as the side deck. It's a little annoying because of how dependent it is on, like, its OG combo, but it's not the worst thing in the world. It's just annoying. So I mean, it kind of depends, right? Like, I think Called By the Grave would be really good for the Ash targets, and then I think honestly more Floodgates would be really good for the deck. The biggest thing that this particular deck struggles with is 100% the ability for it to play through a lot of interaction. So I need to keep interaction off the field.
There you go. So anyway, guys, really hope you enjoyed hanging out with us just for a few minutes, and we are going to be on a much more regular schedule now, I think. And we are excited to see what happens. We'll be posting times that we'll be streaming and things like that here real soon. And definitely make sure to follow us on whatever social media that you find us on. And it's some variety of Duelist 101 podcast. Just look for our podcast logo. It's that one.
Oh my God.
Mason, anything else?
Man, we tired, huh?
Dude, it just hit me out of nowhere, man. Like,
I was wondering, man. Past 5 minutes or so,
like,
you're just.
I instantly, boom, like my eyes went halfway. Everything. Dude, it is so terrible for no reason. Like, I didn't even sleep bad last night. It's been raining all day here, though, and that's been messing with my groove.
That'll get you, buddy. Rain, man.
It's killing me. Anyway, guys, highly appreciate you guys. Follow us on whatever. And hit us up on Twitch. If you would like to interact with us, play us, please. Right? Like,
Listen,
that's
I'll
something
take
that
you and crush you.
I will lose to you happily, though. I will stream that. We're excited. It'll be a lot of fun, and we'll be doing Forged on stream and everything like that. All right, guys. That's all you got from me. Mason?
Thanks, everybody. We appreciate it.
Peace.